Hey YouTube, I am in a 2010 Ford F150. It is making a clunking noise over little bumps in the road. Maybe you can hear it when I run over some bumps here. Kind of that thunking, sort of hollow sounding noise. Hopefully that shows up in the video. There you go. Couple of good ones there.
I've got it isolated to the front of the truck on the passenger side. I'll shake the truck around so you can hear the noise, hopefully. Okay, so I am underneath the truck at the front passenger side, behind the wheel. This way is towards the front of the truck. What I'm looking at here specifically is this sway bar link, or anti-sway bar link. Take a look at this here as I shake the truck. You'll see that there's play in there that kind of I don't know if you can see that, but it's definitely coinciding with the clunk we are hearing. Yeah. Kind of hard to do this by myself, but there's definitely play on this bottom joint here. So we're going to call this a bad stabilizer link, and we'll go ahead and go through the process of changing this out. I am right here at the stabilizer link. This is the anti-sway bar, or stabilizer, whatever you want to call it. This is the stabilizer link. Very important before you start anything is to clean the threads off here with a wire brush, okay? You want to get those threads as clean as you can possibly get it to make this job go as easily as it can. Now, if this is a factory stabilizer link, which on this truck it is, you'll see that there's a hex right here. That's an 8mm. You can use that to keep the shaft from spinning while you break this nut free. And if that's a factory stabilizer link, it's usually an 18mm. So 18mm. I'm gonna go ahead and use a gear wrench here. I've already broken it free off camera here. So, as you can see here, okay, so it's starting to twist that shaft. So we'll go ahead and put the 8mm wrench right on top here, like so, to hold that shaft from spinning. Okay, well, with hopefully clever use of a jack stand, I've got a better view for you guys. If you want, it's always a good idea to use some sort of lube on these threads. Every little bit helps. So let's see if we can get this off here. As long as you clean those threads real well with a wire brush, this should go pretty quickly. As you can see here, it's coming loose relatively easily. So that's the first side down. Next, we're gonna have to work on the bottom side here. So we'll get lighting here. I'll take you for a little ride here. So now we are looking under the control arm. So directly below, there is a stud here
Similar situation, you want to hit that with a wire brush, and in this case you'll probably need a socket to get it going. So I'm going to go ahead and clean that off and lube it and try to get that off. Well, as usual in Alaska where everything's crusty, things are giving me a little bit of difficulty. So I got it broken free. Basically the camera is pointing straight up at the ground, from the ground. I got my 8mm open end here. Well, actually I could probably switch it to a closed box end here. As you can see here, it's just a slow process of getting it loosened. You can just barely get this sucker in here. Maybe an offset box end would help here if you have one, but I'll go see if I can find my box end, offset box end here to help with that. All right, so I've got an offset box end here. That might be of limited help here. We'll see. But anyway, less likely to round stuff off if you can get a nice little box end on it. Just one of this is when the job becomes tedious, is when things don't want to let go. I've also got an open end here that has teeth in it. This one's from Carlisle, 8mm. I don't remember what they call that, but if you see inside here, there's actually teeth. So they tend to grab fairly well without stripping the head. I don't recommend doing that with a normal open end. But if you ever get to a spot where it starts to get hard as you're releasing or loosening the fastener, stop and go back in the tightened direction. That means there's like some gunk or dirt stuck in the threads, and you're gonna get it jammed up so hard that you can't really move it anymore if you keep trying to force it. So if you ever get to a spot where it just starts feeling like it's getting tighter rather than looser, stop, reverse direction, clean the threads out. As you can see here, we're starting to win. Okay, so that wasn't too hard, was it? From here, we'll have to go back up topside with a pry bar and pry up on the anti-sway bar to get some space to release this thing. So the easiest way to get this sway bar link out is to remove the upper nut on the other side. Generally, you want to replace these in pairs, but I understand times are hard sometimes and you just want to fix the immediate problem. So if you're just trying to replace one side, just loosen the top nut on the other side, and that'll allow you to pull the sway bar up. You might have to use a pry bar or something of the like, but it should pry up once you get that upper nut off. Once you get the sway bar out of the way, you should be able to get the sway bar link out and put the new one back in reverse of how you removed the old one. Just gonna get a pry bar here between the control arm and the sway bar and just pull up. And your sway bar link should just come right out. So I will share with you a quick tech tip. So this is the driver's side, the opposite side from where we were working. And what I did here is I put the upper ball joint for the sway bar link into the anti-sway bar and just threaded it on by a couple of threads. And then I stuck it in the hole in the lower control arm here. All right, so once you have the other side kind of lined up, you want to get your new sway bar link. And I'll see if I can do this without getting too far in the way of the camera. You want to get it lined up with the holes in both the control arm right here, as well as the sway bar. You might have to take the ball joint here and like move it in whatever direction to get things to line up better. But what I'll do here is I'll just get it started by a couple of threads, not many. And then from here, we just push down
push down on everything until everything lines up the way you need it to. So, as you can see here, it's lined up fairly well. Sorry about my poor lighting. And by doing that trick with the threads on this side will be lined up, more or less, or at least close enough that you can tighten everything down the way you need it to be. Now it's just a matter of tightening both nuts, and in this case, the torque spec for both of these nuts is 59 foot-pounds. So go ahead and crank these down to spec. I will mention something. You don't want to spin the stud. You want to hold the stud stationary with your 8mm wrench and use your box end or ratcheting gear wrench on the nut. If you spin the ball socket, you'll prematurely wear it out. So always keep the stud stationary and then run the nut tight. And then just do the same with the bottom. 59 foot-pounds. That's it. All right, so we've already done a torque check on the top ones. Go ahead and check these bottom ones for torque here. Okay, that's the torque to the torque spec, and that's it. So last thing you need to do is put your wheels back on. Those are torqued to 130 foot-pounds if memory serves. Make sure you consult your owner's manual, and that's it. Hardest part of that job is just getting the nuts off of the old sway bar link. And as long as you take your time and clean the threads before you even start and use some lube, you generally won't have any problems. Okay, so we are on the same street we were on earlier to when we verified that the vehicle was making the noise the customer is complaining about. So as with any repair, we want to verify that we have fixed the issue that the customer was complaining about. So I'm going to hit the same bumps, or at least try to, that I did before. Pretty good here. Those bumps that I hit earlier did not make any unusual clunking noises in the front end. I realize that the camera's probably picking up more noise than I'm actually hearing in the cab. All right, well, I think it's safe to say that the customer complaint has now been resolved and that we have a successful repair. And all we needed to do was replace the anti-sway bar links. All in all, not a terribly expensive job, not very time consuming, and pretty straightforward. It's amazing that such a simple and inexpensive part can cause a loud noise in the front end of these trucks when they wear out. They often get misdiagnosed as faulty ball joints or loose ball joints in the front end of these things. But in reality, I've replaced more of these than I have ball joints. The front ends of these trucks tend to be fairly robust, at least in comparison to some of the other makes and some of the earlier trucks. But anyway, I hope you found this video helpful. If you like the video, please click the like button. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can be notified the next time I upload some content like this.
I will apologize for not uploading video here in a long time. It's been quite the spring and summer for me. I do have some videos in the queue. I just need to work on editing those and getting those uploaded. So hopefully you'll see more content from me soon. But anyway, until next time, have a great day or night, wherever you are. Thanks.
Let's see if I can get this play a little better on camera here. So I'm holding the sway bar link securely on the bench here. Oh, look. There's a tear in the boot there. I guarantee you water got in this ball socket and wore out because the grease got washed out. Okay, so I peeled the boot up and took a look at the joint here and the grease. That grease is just shot. It's mixed with water and mud. It's what grease looks like when it's contaminated like that. Look at that. Looks like a turd. But you could see that play. It's amazing that this little part could cause so much noise on the suspension. You start thinking that your ball joints are out or tie rod ends or something. It just gets so loud.